Amy, I want to welcome you to the Convert with Confidence Summit. Amy is an author, speaker, and business consultant who specializes in helping women build 6- and 7-figure businesses and escape their 9-to-5 and start to move their businesses in a direction where there's less hustle, which sounds, I think, amazing to all of us right now. So Amy, first of all, I want to ask you, a lot of this audience is already feeling underpaid. They're overwhelmed. They know to stop working when their head hits the computer. So, Amy, can you, what do you mean by doing less hustle? How can we do less hustle and also make more money? Just briefly explaining that real quickly.
Yeah. So first of all, as someone that's kind of like a recovering busyholic, I look at my schedule on a weekly basis, and I'm always amazed, even though I've put systems in place where I batch my activities, I have theme days for my work days and everything else. I still am the girl that at the end of the day, if it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and I've had a really wonderful day and I've gotten everything done that was necessary, I've now created 15 more things that I put on my to-do list that really are not going to move my business forward.
Yeah.
And so I feel like as women, we get so much of our validation from being busy, and we equate productivity with busyness. And so anytime a new client comes to me, the first thing we do is an audit on how they're currently spending their time in their work week. And it's amazing, number one, how much they're doing that isn't driving results in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
And number two, how much they're doing that they may be able to have someone on their team or a VA or someone do those tasks, free up tons of their time, and allow them to spend their time doing the things that drive revenue results versus just doing the things.
Yeah. I can remember me personally starting out doing my business card and here's my logo and look tinkering with my website. And I remember the first thing my coach taught me, she's like, where's the money making actions? And there was none of it. And Amy, I know a lot of us are also doing this out of fear, right? There's a fear of maybe actually putting ourselves out there.
Sure. We all have this thing where we need to show up with perfection. And so if we can't do it perfectly, we're just not going to do it. And we're going to fill our time with busy activities, with things where we say, I'm working, I'm busy, I'm doing all these things to build my business, but I'm not getting any results. When really what it is it's this fear that someone's looking at us, that they're going to judge us. And really, they're thinking the same exact thing about their life. They don't want to put something out because they're afraid they're not going to look perfect. So they're not thinking about you. They're not the person that you need to be worrying about. Anyone that is successful has better things to do than be sitting on Instagram being a troll. Someone that's on Instagram being a troll, they have way too much time on their hands. They are not your ideal client. They are not someone you want in your life. And I'm not saying it's not going to hurt. But at the same time, if you just continually show up, take imperfect action, do the things that you know are going to drive business results, then the money's going to come.
Yeah.
It is this thing where, unfortunately, we live in a society right now where everyone thinks that it is okay to have an opinion about someone else, to share that opinion like we really care.
Yeah.
And it's awful. And I believe that the only way, the only way to really handle that is to just show up and keep taking action and not pay any attention.
Yeah, and I know a lot of this audience struggles with people pleasing. So a lot of the entrepreneurs and the business owners I work with, they're so focused on being nice, but more it's like the manipulative nice. It's like you're not really being nice. It's just like, how do I how do I sort of trick, or what's the strategy that will, get that client, or so I can get that sale? And does it feel good to, think back to your favorite clients, or think back to the most dreadful clients you work with? And is that who you want to keep serving right now? And I think when we're scaling, right, we kind of have to start to shift who we're speaking to, and niching down to who feels good to be around on both sides, right?
So I always try to encourage my clients to have one perfect client.
Mm.
And I want them to, and I'm going to say her, because in most cases, my clients are attracting hers to their client base. But I want them to name her. I want them to know where she spends a Tuesday night. I want them to know where she spends a Saturday night. I want to know where she spends a Saturday. I want to know what kind of car she drives. I want them to know what kind of home. Is she in an apartment? Is she in a house? Is she renting? Tell me about her family. Because the more you know the one perfect client, the clearer your message becomes, and the more you're going to attract the perfect person, versus trying to attract everyone and then trying to weed them out and say, oh yeah, no, that one really wasn't quite what I wanted or what I hoped. And now I'm stuck servicing someone that really was not who I built my business for. And so I believe the riches are in the niches.
Mm.
I believe the clearer you are on who you serve, how you serve them, how you're different, and the result they're going to have in working with you,
Yeah.
then the more you're going to attract the person that you built your services for.
Yeah. I think we often, like, fear strikes us when we think about starting this concept of polarization. I remember, I've been in business for about 6 years, and maybe some of you watching, you've been in business for a year, maybe even 5 years, or even 10 years, and you're still trying to appeal to everyone or not offend anyone. And I know this was keeping me broke. And it was just more about how it's like you're tiptoeing, you're walking on eggshells, trying not to offend anyone. And until you start to polarize, Amy, I would love to know, like, what message would you have for a customer if they came to you and they're like, there's this fear around, really starting to be magnetic with their client, but of course that's going to repel who we don't want.
Yep. So I have all kinds of systems that I put into my own business that I try to encourage my clients to put into theirs. For someone to get a strategy call with me, they have to fill out a questionnaire. And if they don't fill out the questionnaire, there are automated reminders that go out. And eventually it says, I'm sorry, you didn't do your homework. You didn't show that you were truly interested in fixing this problem. I need to cancel our appointment.
Yeah.
And I have no problem doing that because my time is valuable.
Mm-hmm.
And I only want to work with action takers. So I put things in place where someone is going to be, they're going to prove to me that they want to move. Otherwise, I'm not going to see them. I do the same exact thing when I make offers. If you're going to work with me as a one-on-one client, there's a price if you choose to take action within 1 week of our call. And the reason is that I have found that the people that make decisions in who they're going to work with, in taking action and moving forward, are more successful in business, and they're going to make my job a lot easier. And so I have no problem saying, look, this is my price if you move forward within the next week. I don't ask anyone to buy on our call today because my prices are high enough that I believe you need to take some time, think about it, talk to your spouse potentially, or whatever. But within 7 days, you're either moving or you're not, because no decision is a decision, whether you realize it or not. And so for me, I have no problem saying, look, here's the deal. Here's the price for the next 7 days. And I believe that the more of those policies that you have in place and the more of a stand you take in who you are and how you show up in your business, the more confidence you transfer to the client, because those are the things that are going to help them build their business in exactly the same way.
Yeah. Yep. So if I'm curious if those of you who are watching, are you dealing with customers or clients who are draining? You feel like they're draining, or I know me in the past when I used to charge, like I would charge like based on number of sessions. So of course my client calculated, oh, how much is it going to be per session? I often got a lot of game playing and, rescheduling, showing up late, things like that. And if you're dealing with this is why this whatever you want to call it, high ticket formula, high ticket structure, premium packages, whatever. But this is what really separates and polarizes, right? Because somebody whose time isn't important, they're not going to pay 6,000 and above, 6, 7, 10, $20,000 packages, right? So can you see why it's important to switch over if you're in this place and you're asking, how do I scale? Right. And also, I'm sure this audience is asking, well, how does that help me with consistency in my business? Because I'm sure if you're not doing this high ticket structure and you're watching this interview, you're probably chasing the next client or chasing the next payment, chasing the next session, trying to chase clients down. And I'm sure, Amy, you've worked with coaches like this. Can you talk to us about how can we start to create the sustainability and that it turns into like a more consistent cash flow?
Yeah. So I believe it's all about the client journey. And you get to either create the client journey for the client, or the client just goes off on their own and starts doing whatever pieces of research, and they may or may not come back. So when you create your website, be very thoughtful about what actions you want them to take. And those actions should be on your homepage. They should be on your about page. They should be in your blog posts. So if your goal is to have a consistent stream of clients, I believe you need to have opt-ins, great, valuable content that they can access from all of these different pages that bring them into your email list and drive them to continue the conversation with you. And it may be that they're opening emails. It may be that once they opt in, the second thing you do is send them through a quiz where you get to know a little bit more about them and who they are and whether or not this is going to work for them. And every single thing is about some type of micro commitment to get them to move forward to the next thing. And the more of these things that you put into place, the less you have to go and look for the one person. Yeah. If you've gone and created amazing content that leads to your programs and your services, then basically all you have to do is keep putting that free content out on Instagram, out on Pinterest. When you're having a conversation like this, you drive people to your free offer that is going to send them down a path to work with you.
It's almost like they're raising their hands versus you trying to convince. If you're a people pleaser, if you're a recovering people pleaser, you're probably busy convincing people or even maybe subtly begging people, or they can hear it in your voice, right? If you're not showing up congruent or confident in your rate. So, I know you talk a lot about the work-life balance. And I'll just tell you like my quick story is when I was at my full-time job, I was like, oh, I have such a structure. I shut off at 5 and things will be easier when I work for myself. Things will be perfect. I can hang out I have more time for friends to work out, and actually quite the opposite. So, Amy, like what can we start to do so that we can achieve a better balance? Let's say we are a workaholic. And maybe there's even anxiety driving that. Like, oh, if I just do more today, if I just avoid going to the gym or going out with my family and my friends, like it'll happen at some point.
I mean, I've been running my consulting business at this point for 11 years, and I still find myself in that same trap. Because again, if we are workaholics, or if we get our validation from busyness, then we're going to continue to perpetuate that particular story in our head. Number one, I always joke that entrepreneurship is, the one time in your life that you quit that 40-hour-a-week job working for someone else so you can work 150 for yourself. And it's so true, because a lot of times we launch a business based around something we love. So we're excited to do it. And it doesn't seem like an awful thing at first to be working many, many hours and to work Saturdays and Sundays and all those things, because we love what we do and we're so excited to build something for ourselves. But it's really easy to go down this rabbit hole of building an entire life all around your work.
Yeah.
And so I believe the first thing you should always do in any business at all is really to take the time and set the goals for your life first, and then build the business around it. So for me, one of the things that became a non-negotiable over my past probably 6 months is I do not work on Saturdays. I do not work on Sundays. I keep my phone in a different room.
Wow.
I don't open my computer, because it's really easy for me to open something up, go on to Facebook or Instagram, have a notification come across, and then I go down this work rabbit hole.
We're almost like fighting a battle, right? Like I know as soon as I see the red badge, I'm like, I gotta look at it.
And I mean, we've all seen the documentaries and everything where literally they have gone and created every single system in our phones, in our computers, to hit that dopamine center, say, hey, I'm important, I got a message, now I need to go handle it. And then we end up down this rabbit hole. So for us in our household, we set a kind of a guideline that our goal is that all of the major work is done by 4 p.m. on Thursday afternoon. And Friday for us is left for cleanup. Any appointments that maybe didn't make it into the week, anything that kind of came up. But for the most part, Friday is left completely open. And I call that a buffer day. It's just that like cleanup day. And then Saturdays and Sundays we're off. We, in our household, made the conscious decision. We like to work. We like what we do. So we don't start at 8 a.m. We're normally in the office by about 9:30 or 10 o'clock in the morning. But we often will stop for dinner at 4 o'clock and come back to work on Monday night, Tuesday night, and Wednesday night till about 6:30 or 7 o'clock. And we do that so we have systems in place where come Thursday afternoon, we don't feel bad saying, no, we're done. We're going to go and we're going to enjoy some time. We're going to go out on date night. We're going to go see friends. We're going to have friends over for dinner. All of those things are all about being very conscious and very purposeful about how you build your schedule. And we all know that you teach people how to treat you. And if you tell people I'm available all the time, people will think you're available all the time.
Yeah.
If you say I work Monday through Thursday, we try our best to have everything done by 4 o'clock on Thursday, people honor those boundaries once they know what they are.
Especially clients, right? If you're always, I know this is something I struggle with, is like, replying to clients on Sundays. So, what does that sub communicate, right? Like you're available, right?
Yeah.
Yep. So this is why boundaries are important. Do you have boundaries in your business? Because if you're overworked, you're exhausted, and if you're not generating the kind of income you want, or if you're getting a lot of anxiety in your business, I know for me, if there was anxiety, there's boundaries, especially in your relationships with your clients. And of course, being like people pleasers, we feel this, like it can often feel like we are a slave to our business instead of actually being able to serve others. Right. Yeah.
So for me, when my workouts start to slide
Mhm.
is when I know I've allowed boundary creep,
Okay.
that I have not protected my own boundaries.
Mm.
So I have in my house both a Peloton, well, I have a Peloton tread, I have a Pilates reformer, and I have a really nice industrial mini trampoline. So for me, on days like today, where I know I'm hair and makeup ready and I can't go and get on the tread and run and sweat, then
Mhm.
I'm going to go and I'm going to bounce on the trampoline for a half an hour here, and then maybe a half an hour while dinner's being made, and then maybe another half an hour in the evening or something along those lines. And then on days like Mondays and Fridays, again, for me are very important as like my buffer days. So those are the days that I'm going to go and I'm going to get a really hard workout. And so I am very intentional about the things for my own fitness and nutrition. I
Yeah.
do all of my meal prep as much as I can on Saturdays and Sundays. And my husband and I love to be in the kitchen together. So on Saturday afternoon, we'll often go down and open a bottle of wine and we'll do the meal prep for the week. So this way, we're very conscious about what we do. And we make it kind of like a date for the two of us. So sorry, I had COVID at the beginning of the year. And so I still have this like residual cough that keeps coming back. Um, but basically, it's really about putting those things in place and knowing what your non-negotiables are, what's really important to you. And for me, my workouts are very important to me because it's way more about my mental health than
Yeah.
it is my physical health. And my physical health is important, but for me to go and like stop and bounce and do something to move my body, that's where I refill my soul.
Yeah, I like that idea. I never thought about a trampoline because I know a lot of us are working at home. We may be in small spaces. And yeah, I feel that too. Like my body gets stiff when I'm just sitting all day. So yeah, and your mental health, right? Are you taking care of how you're showing up? Let's say, the theme of this summit being converting with confidence. If you're not taking care of, I think this is why often this imposter syndrome can show up, right? Like we don't feel like we're that $10,000 coach or we're that $20,000 coach. And usually, at least I know from my perspective, is our perspectives of ourselves are often pretty accurate. So if we're not taking care of our mental health, there's something we're not doing. Like we could be better in some way. Often, yeah, there's going to be like, I shouldn't be offering that for whatever reason, right? Like what could be maybe a couple other reasons we may be struggling with. Let's say at this point, we're trying to raise our rates and we've been saying the same rate for a year or 5 years or even 10 years. Amy, what maybe one or two other things getting in the way of us being able to show up and say, here's my package, and being like ready for that answer?
So, number one, I believe that confidence comes from having a moderately full pipeline. So, if you're not doing the things at top of funnel to bring through a number of prospects, then every time you get on a call, every time you have a sales conversation, it's like, oh man, I really, really need this person. I need them so bad.
Yeah.
And it comes across in your interaction with the prospect. It comes across in the offers you're willing to make. And, if you say, well, I normally do this, but for you, I'm going to do this instead, or whatever, then you're again teaching people how to treat you.
Yeah.
So number one, I believe it's all about having a steady stream of prospects. Number two, it's about being crystal clear on the benefits and the value you provide to your clients, because price is only an issue in an absence of value. If, Mike and I the other day were walking through the Wynn, we live here in Vegas, and there was a line out the door to get into Louis Vuitton.
Wow.
So, a line, people standing in line waiting to spend thousands and thousands of dollars on a purse.
Wow.
Now, that says a lot about what we feel about value. My husband's like, they're plastic. Louis Vuitton purses are plastic. He's like, why would someone spend that kind of money on a plastic purse? But it's Louis. It has the emblem, it has the brand. They determined their value and they said, we're worth it. And if you did not know this, this is a fascinating thing to know. Louis, Chanel, they don't put things on discount. When it is out of season, they destroy it. They would rather destroy it than discount their product and change the perception of their brand.
That's so interesting, Amy, because I can think of a few purses I'm watching on Amazon from Michael Kors. And I'm like, when is this purse? It's like $170 purse. It has not budged just because it's on Amazon versus their website. It has not gone down. And I'm just starting to, now I can tell my subconscious is starting to adjust and it's starting to feel normal. I'm like, I don't think this price is going anywhere.
Yeah. And, Michael Kors, Coach, Kate Spade, they all have become known for having an outlet. And so if you wait long enough, it leaves the store and it goes to the outlet. Or maybe the imperfect ones go to the outlet and often for a lot of these brands, they actually make things specifically for the outlet. But it's fascinating to look around at some of the premier brands and go and kind of model our life and business around them because they've got it figured out. And Chanel has no desire to put their stuff out there on a discount. Louis has no desire to degrade their brand because they don't want every person carrying a Louis purse. They want a Louis client carrying a Louis purse. I have never been willing to spend $2,000 on a plastic purse.
Yeah.
That is one of my personal inherent, I just can't do it. But there are a lot of people that want to carry that Louis purse. They see the value in that. So they are more than willing to spend that kind of money. And I think we need to think of our own services that same way. How do we set ourselves apart? Not how do we lower our prices?
Yeah. Or to fit in with like the next coach. And especially as a hypnotist, I often look around at other hypnotists and they are not charging what coaches charge for whatever reason. And maybe they don't want to be a coach. They're solely just a hypnotist. But we get into that moment or that feeling like what if the prospect, what if we have to deal with objections in the first place? Like there's this, maybe you dread the phone call itself. Like you see the meeting, you're like, oh, you're already in that state where there's a fear and maybe you plan on caving. I remember I used to actually plan out the cave. Like, oh, well, if they seem like they're unsure, then I'll lower my price. And then we keep slipping into these old habits and we wonder why we start feeling resentful, right? That's what ends up happening is we start to resent ourselves and our clients. Right?
Well, that's where we end up on this slippery slope where there's just no way out of it until you choose to say no more. Yeah. That these are my prices. This is what I do. These are my services. I have a client that I've worked with for a number of years. She's a lovely, lovely human, but she continually comes back to me and tries to get something outside of our traditional packages. Mm-hmm. And she's like, no, I don't need that. I need this. Yeah. What will you charge me for that? And eventually the other day, I sent an email to her, and this was painful because as women, we do not like to do this. But I said, I'm going to give you these pieces of advice right here, right now for free. but going forward, this is your link to purchase. Please don't ever contact me again if this is not what you're willing to do.
Yeah.
And so I softened it by saying, I'm going to give you these things for free. However, for me, it's not worth the time and the energy and the frustration to go back and forth with someone that doesn't value your service, that wants to pick your brain and they want your advice and guidance because they know darn well you have what they need.
Yeah.
But I said, I don't go into the grocery store and ask for 2 pieces of bread to make the sandwich I need for dinner tonight.
Yeah.
And the fact that someone thought that it was okay to continually come back and do this, eventually I'm like, I don't even want to work with this person anymore because they don't get it and they value my advice, but they don't value me. And they don't value my time. And they don't recognize that the 5 custom emails and the I want to do this, will you do that? No, I won't do that. Well, will you do this? No, I won't do that. That back and forth took an hour of my time. And then I told her, I said, every time you want something different, I have to go create a custom link for you and everything else. I just can't do it anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. So powerful. I think so many coaches here, if they haven't dealt with this yet, like you will, we're working with people. Let's be real here. We're working with people, and these are people who are reaching out for help, and oftentimes they can't understand what their own blocks are. And Amy, as you were telling that story, I was having past prospects pop in my mind where they're doing game playing. They may not realize they're doing it, right? But whatever may be driving that, a fear or something. But it's when you hold them to it, when you stand your grounds versus the old habit of internalizing it, or, well, they don't, I'm not good enough, or I'm not worthy of that. And it's just the magic happens when you finally put your foot down and this is what it is. And it's in that moment where they decide, we got to kind of back them into a corner in a way and say, here's your path.
Yeah.
Right. Like you can continue to, in my case, I had a very, very similar situation. It was, I had presented my program and then they tried to pick it apart. They were like, well, what if I don't want 2 private sessions? I want 1 group and 1 private. And I noticed I caved and I changed. And then it was after now this wouldn't have been a good client as a hypnotist if somebody's going to try and intentionally play games like that. But it was after the call, I realized, I was like, oh, she's testing my congruency. Mm-hmm. Like she's testing to see if I'm going to stick to my guns. And I think this is why like just simple tips and strategies and techniques is not enough when you're really doing high ticket sales.
Well, and in my case, this was a client that had paid my high ticket price, had been a client for years, and came back and again saw the value in what I did, but wanted something non-traditional. And, the thing is that businesses are most successful when they have systems and they follow the systems.
Yeah.
If you go to In-N-Out Burger, and if you've never been to like California or Nevada, you may not know what In-N-Out Burger is, but it is a burger brand that started in California. They only do burgers and milkshakes and fries. You can't get chicken nuggets. You can't get a salad. You can't get anything other than a burger, shake, and fries. I can walk into In-N-Out Burger and say, well, I have dietary restrictions and I need a salad. And they're like, I'm sorry, we only offer a burger, shake, and fries.
It's very matter of fact, like,
the more we think about that business model in our own business and trust ourselves to say, no, I'm sorry, I only offer this, or this, the more confidence we come to that prospect with to say, no, this is how I work.
Yeah.
I'd love to work with you, but we must work within these parameters. In order for me to service the amount of clients I service on a weekly basis, they have to be within this container.
Yeah. And I'm sure even some of you coaches out there watching, maybe this is scary to you. You're like, I mean, I love the reframes. Like I can hear some people already like, wow, that sounds scary, because what if they walk away, or what if they get angry at me? We often, as people pleasers, worry about abandonment, like abandonment issues from our past can show up in our calls, or again, imposter syndrome. But do you want to keep recreating your old clients, your old relationships? Or do you want that dream client, whoever that dream client is for you?
So I believe every coach needs a coach.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've been in business for 11 years in this element of my business. And there has not been 1 year in my business that I have not had some type of coach working in my business with me and working on my business with me. And so, I think it is really important to have someone looking at your business from the outside, seeing the things that you're missing. Because I always tell my clients, you can't read the label of the wine bottle when you're inside the bottle. It's when we're inside it and we're that close to it, we don't know what we don't know.
Yeah.
And so I think it's really important for anyone that's listening to this or watching this that they recognize that they're not alone. We all have the same problems. I don't care if you've been in business 2 years, 10 years, 20 years, we're still missing the things inside our own business. So it's really important to have someone that's helping you see what you're not seeing. And that's what gives you the confidence to say, no, I'm sorry, this is how we do this.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like you get that validation, right? Like I can't even express how important it is as well. And I just agree with you, Amy, about having a mentor of your own. I mean, I've had a coach nonstop for 10 years, and sometimes it's been multiple coaches at the same time. Sometimes we need a team of people to help us. And Amy, I already love your energy. Like, can you feel Amy's energy, and even just kind of observe her state? What's different about the way she's showing up right now? And how are you showing up, right? Are you giving good eye contact? Are you talking very matter of fact? Are you congruent with what you want and what you desire? You're not going to cave, right? So I'm sure this is resonating with a lot of these viewers here. And I know we have to wrap up here. We don't have a whole lot of time left, but Amy, you have a free gift for this audience. I'm sure they're excited to learn about, called The Ultimate Guide to Getting More Clients in Less Than 30 Days. And who doesn't want more clients in less than 30 days? So Amy, can you tell us about what you have for this audience?
Yeah. So, so many women that I know are busy doing all of the things on social media. And they come to me and they're like, Amy, I'm posting on Facebook and Pinterest and Instagram and LinkedIn and YouTube and TikTok now and Snapchat and all this stuff. And I'm like, and they're saying to me, I'm not getting any clients. And the problem is that so often, again, we're busy and we think that by being busy, we're being productive.
Yeah.
And I believe that along with funnels, there are people that are going to do business with you quickly. There are going to be business people that will need to see what you do for a moderate amount of time. And there are going to be people that are going to watch you for a year before they pull the trigger. So the more people you have coming into that funnel and you're nurturing them properly, then the more confidence you can have in saying, I'm sorry, we're not a fit, because you know that you have other people coming down the pipeline. So every single person in business, if you ask them their number one problem, most of them are going to say, I need more clients.
Yeah. Yep.
They're not going to say, I need more systems. They're not going to say, I have plenty of everything. They're almost all going to say, I need more people willing to pay me.
And what-
So I believe that by putting that system in place, that by you having that steady stream of qualified prospects that are interested in what you do, they know about you, and they want to talk to you, it's a lot easier to attract and repel the right and wrong people.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's not about that one magical system. I think often we think, oh, so I need that one magical funnel that will do it. Or I need that one perfect email, or we think it's the system that's the problem here. And really it's, well, part of it, I remember I used to jump from program to program to program to system to system to system, funnel to funnel, funnel, only to realize none of it worked. And it wasn't about the system at all.
Normally, if someone's doing all of those things, the problem is about the messaging. They didn't get the message right, and they're trying to talk to too many people about too many things, and they're not talking to the right person at the right time with the right solution.
Gotcha. Yep. Yep. So if this sounds like you, go click the link below, go get it. Is it a course? Is it
It's a guide. So it's about a 21-page guide. And so we have, here's this list of and details on how to go about getting these clients within the next 10, 15, and 30 days. And then here's what you're going to do over the next 6 months. And here's what you're going to do over the next year. And we break it out by what's short-term, medium-term, and long-term. So again, you're building that pipeline, building that funnel of consistent prospects. So you're always nurturing someone, getting someone ready to buy.
Love it. I think I'm going to go check it out just after this. So go click the link below, go get this free guide. If you're throwing mud at the wall, darts everywhere, nobody's talking to you, nobody seems to care. It's not because you're not good enough. It's not because there's a reason you're searching for answers, right? It's because you are good enough. So it's just simply either your messaging, who are you talking to? Have you niched down properly? And is the system, is that set up to work for you? Does it feel good, right? So go get this guide by scrolling down, click the link below. This link is only available for the next 48 hours. And Amy, thank you so much for your insights here. I can already imagine the energy of this audience right now as they walk away from this, but such an insightful and powerful conversation, Amy. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. It's so great to get to empower women to step into their strengths and their power.
Yeah, let's do it, guys. Go get it. And I'll see you on the next interview.